I'm going to show you guys why, in my opinion, the Assistants API should be much more popular than it actually is. It allows you to have a continuous conversation with LLMs within a thread of conversations where all of the context is automatically remembered without using RAG and without passing on each prompt's output one by one. Let's get into it. Now, the reason that I'm coming to you today and talking about this is because of this problem here, right, on the screen. This is from the community.openai.com. This is December 2023. And someone says, how can I maintain conversation continuity with ChatGPT API? And what does that mean? When you go on the front end of ChatGPT, like this ChatGPT right here, you'll see that like you can have a continuous conversation, and it's not like, you don't have to feed what it output last time, because it already has that information kind of integrated into it. Now, if you don't know, something that people might not know about the OpenAI API is that LLM models today are stateless, meaning that every single bit of context you want to consider should be passed with every interaction with it through the messages, okay? So what does that mean? There is currently, as far as I know, there's only two ways to have a continuous conversation with ChatGPT. And those two ways are, number one is RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. Basically, giving it like a memory almost is how I've described RAG. And the second one is feeding the output of one prompt to another prompt, right? So this is currently in the API. I'm talking about just in the API. I'm not talking about having a conversation with ChatGPT. I'm talking about programmatic use of the OpenAI API, right? Right now, these are kind of the only ways that people consider, right? And that's actually what this guy says. So there is no way to maintain a conversation rather than passing it or its summary every time to the model, right? So what this is basically saying, I know this is from a year ago, but this is actually the same today, as far as I know, as it was a year ago. Within the OpenAI API, the only way to pass a conversation on is to literally pass the conversation on, right? So you take the output of one prompt. So this is prompt one, right? And then the output of prompt one gets fed. This then gets sent to prompt two, right? The output from prompt one gets sent to prompt two. However, the interesting thing about the Assistants API, and this is something that I talked about a long time ago, but I just kind of got lost in the source with all of the new OpenAI models and everything. I just kind of forgot about this. But one really, really cool thing is that it actually has something called threads. And if you look here, threads are a conversation session between an assistant and a user. Threads store messages and automatically handle truncation to fit content into models' context. So actually, the really interesting thing is, as far as I know, without using one of these two methods here, what this basically means is the conversation that you have with ChatGPT is basically all within a box, right? Kind of like when you have a conversation with the front end of ChatGPT. So this is prompt one, or it actually be better to be message one. And then it already has the context of message two and message three and message four, etc., because it's in an overall thread, right? You can think of a thread as like a forum thread. That's probably where the word comes from in this case, or it might be a programmatic thing. But yeah, so it basically means a continued conversation. So one problem I've had with Harbor for a long time is that all of these messages that are between these models, the way that I'm passing on, each prompt and the response from one prompt goes into another prompt, and one prompt says create an outline and then write an article and blah, blah, blah. But I have to think each time where each piece of data needs to be passed. But if I could instead use the Assistants API, and this is something I should have thought about a long time ago, but I've just been so busy. This solves a huge problem that I personally have been having with the OpenAI API, which is that there's no conversation ID, right? So what the Assistants API does is it gives you the possibility to have a thread ID, which you can refer to at any time, and any message inside that thread is inside that thread, right? So you could have 50 messages in there, all snaking like this all the way down to the 50th message. And all of them would automatically have all of the context, including, it says here, truncation, which is another problem that you might have. So it says automatically handle truncation. So even if you had 50 prompts that was this huge, ginormous thing, it would automatically handle the fact that each model has a certain input or output tokens that you're allowed to use. So this is the ultimate tool when you talk about things like chain of thought prompting, because it's literally a chain of thought. Whereas previously what I've been doing and what a lot of people do, and I feel like there's not enough about the Assistance API on YouTube and just in general, is we would previously be passing the output from one prompt to the next prompt and then to the next prompt to the next prompt, which is kind of chain of thought, but with threads in the Assistant API, you've actually got chain of thought prompting. Now, as there are more and more models that can be used in this, like GPT-4o Mini, which is extremely cheap, or GPT-o1, which is extremely intelligent in my experience, you can really start to build complicated applications that could do something like create web pages, create landing pages using AI. I'm going to leave the video there, guys. I think that is a really important piece of information for any OpenAI developers out there and people who want to create large applications that may require on a lot of different prompts. You should definitely check out the Assistant API. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're watching all the way to the end of this video, you're an absolute legend, and I'll see you very, very soon with some more content. Peace out. Watch this video if you're curious about the new Google Notebook LM feature, AI podcasting.